Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all our 12 Monarchs out there in Monarch Nation, coming off a thrilling 37-34 homecoming win over Charlotte in front of our 45th consecutive sellout, the only team in the history of college football to sell out every home game we've ever played, something we're very proud of. I'd also like to compliment Brad Lambert, the head coach for Charlotte, on his team's performance, being in only their third year. That's a good football team. They're well coached. They have good players, and I already think they're an excellent addition to Conference USA, and we wish them well the rest of the season. The most important thing to address, first off, was the quarterback plan going into this game. We had made a decision on Thursday of this past week that we were going to start Schuler Bentley and give Schuler the first series, and then David Washington would take the second series. And that first series with Schuler, we went 3 and out. The second series with David, his first pass play resulted in a beautiful 53-yard touchdown throw to Zach Pascal, and from that point on, it was clear we were going to go with David the rest of the game. He had an outstanding game, 25 for 43, 365. He rushed for 37 yards. He caught a pass for 2 yards, so he had 404 total yards in this game, which was something we needed offensively. We needed that a burst of energy and enthusiasm, and then just flat-out production that we got from David in this game. We had struggled the last 3 games against NC State, App State, and Marshall to score points, and David led us to 37 points and got our offense up close to 500 yards. So very pleased with his performance, and he will be the starting quarterback moving forward. I thought we were a very average team overall for the first 50 minutes in this game, and then a great team for the last 10 minutes. That's really how this one played out. And as I pointed out to our team yesterday in our team meeting, we've now played 10 games in Conference USA in our second year now, and we've gone 5-5 in those 10 games, and all 5 games we've won at the very end of the game. And the point I was making to him is, we need to find a way to play a little bit better in the first 3 quarters. We play outstanding football at the end of the games. It has a lot to do with how much we practice and focus on situational football, putting our players in those end-of-game situations, but there's just so many other areas we need to improve on right now, particularly on third down. The reason they ran 106 plays in this game is they were 13 for 24 on third and fourth down. They ran 29 more plays than we did. We ran 77 plays in this game, which is a good number. You average somewhere between 70 and 75 plays in a game, so we were above that average. But they ran 106 plays, and we need to get off the field on third down. We're really going to focus this week on third and short, medium situations on offense and defense, because that's hurt us both sides of the ball. The final sequence of the game, we were down 31-22, and we had just missed a field goal. Chris Kirtley was 3 for 4 missed, and we lost a lot of momentum at that point, and T.J. Ricks picked us up with a forced fumble. Shadow Williams recovered, and then we get a third down touchdown pass to Zach Pascal that makes it 31-29. After we went for the punt, the fake punt, and missed, our defense picked us up again, forced a field goal, and then we go 9 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown to take the lead, and then the defense gets a stop. So the sequence the last 9 minutes of the game was as good as it could be. Special teams, I mentioned Kirtley, 3 for 4 on field goals, his first ever field goal attempts. Rashad Coward with the big block field goal. That was a huge shift in momentum. And then we had 2 very good kickoff returns by Zach Pascal. He had 69 yards in return, so he ended up with 300 total yards in this game. Just an outstanding performance. Defensively, I mentioned 106 snaps. That's way too many. It's third and fourth down. T.J. Ricks is now our all-time leading tackler. Is that correct? Single game leader. Just phenomenal performance. He played 102 snaps in this game. We've never had a defensive player play 100 snaps in a football game, and he was just an Iron Man. He had 18 tackles, a sack, 2 TFLs, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. Is he the player of the – we don't know yet? Okay. If he's not the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week, then somebody must have had just a tremendous stat line out there, but just a phenomenal game. And I mentioned that what I thought was the play of the game, his forced fumble after the missed field goal when it was 31-22. We needed that play, and he delivered. Falante Misher played 90 snaps in this game. He had 14 tackles. Marvin Branch with 11 tackles. Justice Davila with 9. And then Aaron Young at corner played 100 plays in this game and had 8 tackles, which is a big number for a corner. Most disappointing part of the game was the first 3 quarters defensively. We gave up 506 yards. Total, we only gave up 69 yards in the fourth quarter, and that's an impressive performance to step up and play that way when we were just getting manhandled by their offense the first 3 quarters. We now have 3 of the top 6 tacklers in Conference USA, with T.J. Ricks, who's the leading tackler, and Falante Misher and Justice Davila are in the top 6. Offensively, 77 plays, 482 yards, 37 points. Very encouraging coming off the struggles of the past 3 weeks. David Washington's performance on only 3 days of practice was just incredibly impressive. His ability to move in the pocket, his escape ability has added the dimension that we desperately need right now. We didn't talk about that a lot with Heineke when he was playing quarterback, but he had that ability to move and the escape ability, which right now we're battling up front in the offensive line. We got some really tough kids that are working through some injuries, but Connor Mewborn's playing hurt right now. Troy Butler's playing hurt. Tyler Fisher came out of the game in the second half. That knee was just bothering him too much to play. So there's a lot going on up front right now, and those guys are battling. They're trying their best, but we need a quarterback that can move and escape, and David gives us that. Zach Pascal is as good a performance as we've had here by a wide receiver. I'd compare it to Nick Mayer's performance against New Hampshire in 2012. The difference in this one, I think, is every catch Zach Pascal just seemed like a huge catch. All 3 of his touchdown catches were contested plays that he had to make phenomenal plays. He just stepped up really big for us in this game. And then offensively, we had 159 yards in the fourth quarter, which was really impressive. We outscored Charlotte 15-3 in the last 10 minutes when we needed it. So big win for the program, one we certainly needed. It keeps all of our goals still intact, being 3-3. We're halfway to a bowl. We're 1-1 in the league, which puts us in second place. So everything's still there for us. This week's opponent, Florida International, is a much improved team over the 4-8 team from last year. They're 3-4 overall, 1-2 in the league. Interestingly enough, their schedule, they played 5 games on the road. They've had a very difficult opening schedule. They're 2-0 at home with 2 blowout wins. Offensively, they're averaging 28 points a game. Their quarterback, Alex Magoo's in his second year. He is a much improved player. He's completing 64% of his passes, about 240 yards. He's 5th right now in passing in the league, and that's probably where he is in terms of the quarterbacks in the league this year. He's made a big jump from being a guy who was down in the bottom part of the league last year as a quarterback to now he's that upper middle part. You can see the improvement. Ron Turner, their head coach, who's coached in the NFL, been a head coach in the NFL, offensive coordinator, is doing a great job with Alex. He's a really improved player. Alex Gardner's their leading rusher, second leading receiver, so a guy who's going to get the ball a lot. Defensively, they are much better than last year. I thought they were good last year, but they're 3rd in the league on defense. They just play a lot of base defense. They're really fast, really physical. They've got arguably the best defensive player in the league in Richard Leonard, who might be the best special teams player in the league as well. Very good group overall. This is a pivotal game for us. This week, a win gets us to 4-3 and 2-1 and puts us in great shape, but it's going to be a major challenge. I'm pretty sure we'll be 1 to 2 touchdown underdogs into this game based on their results, our results, who they've played, that type of thing, the fact they're home. But we're excited for this challenge, and we've got a lot of momentum and enthusiasm coming off this past week's win. And I'll take questions.
Bobby, it's been a while since David has played and practiced much at quarterback or played at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an upside is there given that, he's got a lot of things to refamiliarize himself with, things to relearn?
Yeah, that's a great question, Harry. A lot of what he was doing Saturday was instinctive. He was very well taught and very well trained by Ron Whitcomb, so he already knew the offense. We've been keeping him close to everything we were doing offensively and at quarterback because I stated before the season he was the backup starter. He was going to be the next guy in the game, and that's taking nothing away from Blake LaRussa or anybody else, but we knew how good he was at quarterback, so he's very close to it. There's not a lot more he needs to learn. He already knows the system, and his performance backs that up. There's no way he could have done what he did Saturday if he didn't know what was going on. He knew all the reads, he knew the protections, he got the offensive line organized, he checked plays when he needed to, and then he just does what David does really well. He instinctively reacts. He did it at quarterback when he first got here. He did it at wide receiver. Now he's doing it again at quarterback. Now we will make some adjustments going forward based on his strengths as a quarterback. We had not been running some of the things that David really likes and does well leading up to this game, and neither Coach Scott or myself were comfortable making any changes going into this game. But there will be changes now. There will be adjustments offensively now moving forward based on his strengths. We've always played to the quarterback's strengths here, whether it was DeMarco and the system we had for him, or Heineke and what he had and what we were developing for Schuler. So we'll change now offensively. It's not going to be a lot. There's just going to be some minor adjustments because there's also 10 guys around him that we're very conscious of their strengths at this point. But like we've always done here, we'll play through the quarterback.
You had mentioned preseason of how young a good portion of this team was. Is this a grown-up moment for them to do what they did in comeback?
Yeah, I said post-game, probably one of the good things that came out of the way we won this game, as strange as it sounds, is that we were down by 9 with 10 minutes to go, and we had to show a lot of character to win at the end. That's twice we've done that now. We did that out at Eastern Michigan. We were down 2 scores and came back and won, and did it this time. And with 33 of the 53 that are playing being first or second year players, I can't speak to how much that helps the development of your team. Now you become a team that's very resilient, and you become a team that's looking for ways to win at the end as opposed to looking for ways not to lose. And there's a big difference in sports between the two, looking to win as opposed to not losing. And I mentioned we played 10 games in Conference USA now. We're 5-5, and all 5 of them we've won at the very end of the game. This was actually the most breathing room we've ever had in a Conference USA win. We had 11 seconds left, and we knew we'd won. We just had to take a knee. That's never happened. It's 3 field goals with no time left and a touchdown pass in overtime. So a lot of character can be developed in these moments, and that's why I made a big deal to point that out to the players yesterday, because a lot of times they just think, okay, we won, let's move on. Well, you have to, if they're going to learn from those moments, they have to relive those moments. And whether you get embarrassed like we did at App State, where we needed to own that and live through it, to doing what we did against Charlotte yesterday and owning that and living through it, they're important teaching moments that aren't just about skill, they're also about character and resiliency, and that was one of them Saturday.
I promised I wouldn't bring up his name, but since you did, I'll bring it up anyway. Was that a Heineke-like moment? Did that bring up, that's what we were looking for?
Yeah, I would say the moments that, if you compared David to Taylor, the moments would be in the drive to win the game. He had an unblocked blitzer coming on the 3rd and 10 where he threw the 33-yard pass to Pascal, and he held it just long enough and got hit, but he put the ball in a spot where Zach could get it. It looked like he just threw it up for grabs, but he knew it was man coverage. He knew the defender had his head turned, and the defender did not see the throw. So he knew he had to put some air under it and give Zach time to react. And then the big one that didn't seem like a big one probably to the fans was we're 3rd and 8 on their 39. And we call a pass play that they matched and covered, and he takes off and runs, and he sets up Jeremy Cox for a block, and he picks up 10 yards. You know, he did that with his feet, and he did it with his mind. He could have forced the ball in over the middle, and he chose not to and go. So now he's got those plays, and then the touchdown pass, obviously, and the 2-point conversion were just those were special moments. That was a special quarterback doing something special. But he has those now. He has those moments, and he knows that he can do it at the end of the game, and the players know that he can do that at the end of the game. So that helps your team's resiliency, not unlike the way Taylor could do that. The players always knew if they were just close late, we were going to have a shot, and they'll end up feeling that same way now with David.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, wide receivers dropped a number of passes in previous games. I don't remember any drops Saturday night. As a matter of fact, they made some great catches. Is that a matter of they're more confident in David, they're more confident in themselves?
Well, we caught the ball well at Eastern Michigan, and it didn't rain. You know, I guess you could look at it from all angles. Three of the last four have been in tough conditions. Yeah, David was accurate. The balls were in good places, but I think everybody who's watched us play and seen Zach Pascal play, he's never caught the ball like that. I mean, he just made ridiculous catches. That's why I compare it to what Mayers did, and it might have been better than Mayers from the standpoint of all the diving catches he had to make. But you know, Zach hasn't caught the ball like that consistently in his career. So, you know, if you say it was David. If you say it was the balls, I think it was Zach was just as focused as I've ever seen him. And then it helps that he caught the first pass of the game for a 53-yard touchdown, and it was a difficult catch. You know, those things enter into confidence. And I don't really have a good answer for you on that one, other than they need to catch the ball, and they did. I do think we gained a lot of confidence out of that, Harry. You know, what Zach did, and then there was a Travis Fulgham sighting. You know, we hadn't had one of those around here yet. He caught the ball well. So it's hard. We lost one of our best receivers. You know, we lost David Washington at receiver. So now we're trying to find the other guys that can fit into that puzzle, because somebody else besides Zach's going to have to step up. I mean, Florida International is going to take Richard Leonard, who might be the best defensive player in the league, and they're going to match him. They're going to put him on Zach wherever he goes. You know, they did it last year with Antonio Vaughn. They've done it with every marquee receiver that another team has. And so some other guys are going to have to catch the ball. It's going to be harder for Zach this week to repeat that performance. I hope he does. It's going to be harder. You know, the best defensive player in the league is going to cover him this week. So other guys are going to have to step into the role, and 2 weeks in a row we're going to have to catch the ball, catch it well.
One last question: do you teach your players to watch the game on the jumbotron?
Well, interestingly enough, you mentioned that. That is a topic of discussion. It's not a direct teaching point, but the stadiums we play in now, most of them have a jumbotron. So whether it's obviously in our stadium, it's only when they're running at the student section that they can use it. Our running backs have used it since we started here. If they're running down that sideline, to see who's behind them and what's the angle. So it keeps them from having to look back over their shoulder. And they do use that. That's not necessarily that we teach them, but they do use it to help themselves. But that was not a teaching moment out of that one. That was just Zach Pascal having one of those days in your life that are special when you're a player.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, 12 Monarchs, for the 45th consecutive sellout.